Hello everyone, and welcome to part 3 of the Better Than Starting Manned play series. Now, I've proceeded to do as I said in the last video, which is make a number of extra trips, so I now have 50 signs in total. Not that much more actually than I started with, but it's enough to buy me something extra. And in the meantime, I've also had some small things that I'm changing. Firstly, this should now be in 1080p for you all. I changed the video capture settings. And unlike that first video, which had terrible color balancing, I'm going to make sure in post-production that the colors stay as they are. That was unfortunately YouTube helping out by color correcting. And finally, on the last video, on part 2, I had the comment of Jex's Plays that I was hard to hear actually over the sound of the engines. So again, in post-production, I now record the sound of the mic separately to the sound of the game, so I can make sure that the two are leveled appropriately. So without further ado, let's go into the science part. Now, I had a comment on the first video by FlowerChildXL, the maker of the mod, that he had actually put a lot of small hints in the actual files. So for instance, the cockpit actually says, where is it? Cockpit's not pressurized, thus flying at extreme altitudes may void the warranty on any Kerbals. Similarly, if we go to the next cockpit in the line, it says, warning, this cockpit is pressurized. We figure that bit out, and this can be used at higher altitudes, but exposing it to vacuum may have undesirable results. So that is, in fact, a hint in the actual science part that explains what you can do with these individual parts. Another example is if you look at the RCS thrusters, it says that they're monopropellant to help with attitude control and linear motion. So basically, it informs you why we can't move in space, because without these, we don't have any attitude control at all. And similarly, for the gravioli detector, it actually says at the end there, at lower altitudes, the sensor will be overwhelmed. At higher altitudes, the field density will be too low to register these variations. So the Goldilocks zone, as you can read up there, is if we can get this thing into low orbit. So actually, the science files have a lot of hints to what exactly you can use these for and how you should use them. Like one I discovered over here with the stability enhancer, which actually says that it should be put as low as possible. So let's see. The owner's manual strongly suggests these devices be placed on the bottommost sections of the spacecraft and activated as soon as the engines are lit for optimal declamping performance. So a lot of these bits actually tell you what you need for them. Now, even with my 50 signs, this next line will take 90 signs and upwards. It will get us things like docking and struts, which are very useful, but we just don't have that type of signs. We just have these three that we can decide on what to use. Now, it's a difficult choice. On the one hand, we have these engines. So, for example, this is the teeny weeny cutesy wootsy little engine to go on the top stage of stuff. So this would be very useful for actual space. For when we're in an orbit, we can make something small to maneuver around there. So that might be very useful. And the same with this. This is basically a different sized fuel tank. As you can see, our previous one is a full 360 fuel, but this one is 180. So it's simply a smaller stage that we can use in our last orbital stages. Now, the next is fully flight control, which is just the fuel for the monopropellant and the thrusters that we just have. Now, this will be interesting. Getting attitude control will be very important in space to make sure that we can orientate and fire our engines in the proper way. So this would actually be very useful to have and to use. Because right now, as soon as we reach a low orbit, we're basically stuck doing what we're doing. And the final one is we're going to ask all the big questions of the universe. Eventually. for now, we're starting with these. And that includes a larger battery, very much larger. The Pot 2 is a significant advance in electrical engineering that allowed us to have both increased capacity and reduced weight ratio of the previous models. Because if you check these, it is 0.05 weight for 50 charge, and this is 0.3 weight for 400 charge. So that is 6 times larger, but 6 times heavier in mass, but 8 times better in electric charge. So that is a good advancement since we dump them on quite much. Now this one, as we saw, was a pressurized cockpit. That should also be very useful. The question I can't answer is whether or not I can get some signs, some crew report signs from higher altitudes. I don't know. But the other one is the mystery goo containment unit. Something our engineers came upon while Dumpster Dove is researching alternative applications. So it can be opened and the effects can be studied for detection upon return to Kerbin. This is less likely to instigate protest than launching animals in space, even if it's way less fun. Sorry, Leica, you're going to have to stay here. So the problem I can potentially see with this, although it wouldn't be that much of a problem, is that if we want to return these things, we're going to have a stage that can return. And the thing I'm wondering right now is that we'd need to be returning at a low velocity so as not to burn up. That's one. And the other one is we're going to need things on parachutes so that we can drop them safely. So it would require something of an intermediary stage, like a fuel line with these attached, where it's basically a decoupler. No, I wouldn't even be able to attach parachutes to that. So to be honest, I'm not quite sure how I could get these back safely yet. So that leaves us with the large mystery of what to buy. Do I go for an upper stage? Do I go for some actual control? Or do I go for this, the science tech? This will get me some science. I just don't know how to return it safely. I suppose the one thing we can do is try and build this cockpit and see if we can do a crew report flying on Kerbin. If we know that that is possible, then we know we might be able to do this in a higher plane. So, what do we call this? The Wicker Man, because we're going to sacrifice one of our brave Kerbals to explore the K2 surplus cockpit. I'm so sorry, Mr. Kerbal. So putting a big engine underneath. How about we go for safety and we get a decoupler in so that there will be less weight stressing our spaceship. Well, spaceship, atmosphere ship. And more chance of our Kerbal returning safely via this one parachute. We wouldn't need a battery. We've done the readings we can really. We're all just interested in seeing whether we can get this thing flying well enough. How about we just give them the full 4? There we go, looks spiffy. Now, our stage is correct. We blast this off as soon as we uncouple that. We get a parachute off as soon as we uncouple that. That looks pretty cool. Do I need anything else from you? Do we need boosters? Let's go for the fun of facts. Let's not clip this though. There we go. Just have the one here. Our Wicker Man. Let's see if we can combine all of these though. Let's press launch and see where we end up. Okay, so Jebediah Kerman, are you ready? 3, 2, 1, liftoff. This is one brave Kerbal to just jump in this experimental airplane with complete disregard to any Kerbal life and decency. We send him up into the air to discover the mysteries of flying a little bit above ground. To go where, well, I assume a few Kerbals might have gone before. I mean, let's face it, if you've got rocketry, surely flight in general shouldn't be that much of a problem. So what can I do with you? Crew report? Yeah, your altitude is too low. Well, we're still going for it. We're still going for it. Crew report, your altitude is too low. Well, I wonder if he's going to get explosively decompressed when we hit that 12k barrier. If we hit that 12k barrier. Oh, that is a flaw in my plan. Let's manually decouple this part, because I don't want this to pop yet. Flying too low, yep. And he's falling back already. Well, that doesn't help us one bit. Ah, well. At least we know that this thing is aerodynamically suicidal. Let's pop a chute. There we go, just a quick dip into, what would this be, 10 Gs in one go? Surely he'd snap his neck, but no, not Kerbals. Since they have a sort of a neck, but must be made out of titanium or something. In any case, we have safe splashdown. There's a crew report of 0, so that doesn't matter at all. Let's just recover the vessel and see if we can send him a little bit higher. Oh, we did get 5 signs for surviving a flight. Well, well. And Jebediah Kerman lives. For now. Oh. Well, that's interesting. Why is my... Did I not save my actual Wicker Man? There we go, there it is. Let's launch that thing again. And this time, we're not taking any prisoners, or leaving any survivors. No, it's okay, Jebediah. You'll live. Maybe. Probably. Maybe. Just shooting this baby straight up, and we know he can survive in here. Let's see if he can survive in here, because I'm suspecting, since the other one was sort of just high altitude, maybe this is still low altitude. I don't know. I'm suspecting maybe 3,500 kilometers is a crucial measurement. Oh, I should be steering this thing rather than just chatting away. Let's see. So still the biome, state is still operational. We are still good. If only I had some kind of parachute system for you, Jebediah, but I'm afraid it's in the interests of science. Glorious, glorious science. So still flying too low. Now let's see if we reach 1,200. Yes. We're flying low. Crew report of 15 science. Look at that beauty. 15 science. I am just about ready to chicken out on this. There we go. Chickening out. We've got 15 science. We know it survived. Oh. Okay. That is a good epiphany at 20k. That, yes. I am so sorry, Jebediah, that I did not transmit that science before you died. And about your death, that is also very regrettable. But in the meantime, let's enjoy the safe recovery of this aircraft, minus most of the aircraft. Actually, that thing is going on a whole while. Oh, there it is, there it is. It is joining us at somewhat more rapid pace. Of course, it's not dragging a parachute and it's not as light as we are. But let's see what the consequences are. Well, actually, it's going to be a while. It's about... There we go. 800 meters below us, and it's almost a kilometer away from sea level, so... Bam! There it is. And this thing will take a while, of course, as it leisurely pace of 8.5 meters per second. But considering Jebediah died... Yes, see, there's no report in there because the reporter, unfortunately, did not make it. Well, there was absolutely no way to... Whoa. Crew report while flying. Plus 15 signs. 15.8. Ah, vessel that survived a flight. Okay, I am good with this. Sorry, Jeb, but this worked out. Now, 45 signs. We absolutely cannot buy this one, and I don't think it'll be worth it. We can just buy one of these, so we are still stuck in deciding what do we do. Now, I think I'll buy this one, because a pressurized cockpit will allow us to go above 20k and get us some science. And there as well, we can get a mystery goo containment unit. That will get us more science, which I hope will allow us to afford flight control, giving us more control in low orbit. So I'm just going to go for it. I'm regretting my decision already. Let's see what our next ones... So for this one, it is the good weight ratio battery, the pressurized cockpit that can go higher, but not into vacuum, and a goo containment. So next up in our tree are a landing strut. That is very useful. Landers basically made of toothpicks. Well, that's not good news. Seismic accelerometer. Oh, those are very useful. So that is definitely in preparation of actually landing on the Mun. And an illuminator, which is just invaluable when you land on the Mun, particularly when you accidentally land on the dark side. Now, another one is space exploration. Tip: not having not yet developed spacesuits, going EVA may be a rather bad idea. Are there any other tips? Tips: staging boosters to fire at different times will help you gain altitude. Oh, well, that's what I had to discover experimentally. If you're having difficulty initially balancing the weight of your rockets, keep it pointing it upwards is the key. Balancing the weight. Ah, see, here are all these tips that FlowerChildXL must have mentioned. Using fins to steer your rocket will allow you to reach new heights. Yeah, that is the thing that I've been ignoring. Ah, and here's where it says that you get improved launch capacity for 50 tons. Okay. And now I should have 125 ton launch capacity with this. Okay. That is where all those tips are. Again, construction gives me capacity. Okay. Let's see. So this one would get me the command pod, which would be It has a heat shield. There we go, surviving re-entry. So that is something we absolutely need. And all I can do is assume that this can go into space. And the Pegasus Mobility Enhancer, also known as a ladder. Highly caffeinated rodents. Okay, perfect. So I have this. So let's take advantage of our battery, pressurized cockpit, and our containment unit to construct a new death trap. Spaceship. Now, the problem here is going to be, how am I going to get this back safely? And I think, oh god, I don't know how I'm going to pull this off. Because the problem is, there's nowhere here to attach this to. Would I be able to use this? I don't think so, but would I? See, if I can attach that to there, then that is already used, see? And as far as I know, I can't attach it radially. That is where, of course, the mysteriously named radial parachute comes in. The only thing I can imagine to do is to go crazy with this and add multiple boosters. Each one of these has a parachute. To be honest, I don't think this can carry the impact. But at the very least, I'll have quite a lot of boosters. Now let's see, let's get some winglets on there. And get some of those batteries involved, because these looked quite nice. And what can we do? We'd like some science, obviously. I'd like them as low as possible, really, because... well... because I don't want them dragging the spaceship in the wrong direction. These are completely excessive for our goals, but it will be good enough for now. I just hope that we can actually get this thing off the ground. Now, just because we can, let's include some stability enhancers. We probably don't need them, but come on, they look boss. Now, let's fix these stages. These parachutes need only fire near the end. See, the problem is, otherwise I would think to put these goo containment units on the top together with a parachute. But there's no way of attaching a parachute to this, unless I can somehow... no, as far as I can see, there's no way to attach anything to this cockpit. Yeah, it needs an attachment point, and we just don't seem to have that. So... the death trap. No. The intrepid death trap one. To boldly go where Jebediah died before. Takes real curveballs. Okay. Let's do this. So firstly, since we have spares anyway, expose mystery goo. What a surprise. No signs. Reset experiment. Oh! Data removed, experiment module inoperable. Okay, but can I still expose it? No. So that is immediately a good lesson. Don't screw around with these. You need them intact. Bill, are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go. I know you look worried, Bill. I know you miss Jebediah. We all miss Jeb. But we're gonna bring you back alive. We've got to. Let's see. Science. Flying too low. Okay. How are we doing with... oh my god. 1250 electric charge. Look at that. That is going to keep us alive in orbit for a long time. which has been our problem so far in getting science from orbit. One was just actually getting up there and staying up there long enough, but the other one was just my electrical charge would run out within no time. And this, apparently, this solves my problems on that front. Let's see, we're still flying too low for your taste, is it? There's no... yeah, altitude is too low when you're flying low. Oh, we're flying low and there's no message. Okay. So what do we get? 25 full science. Yes, keep that data. Let's boost this up for its last little... Wait, what? Oh my god. We just lost the parachutes. Okay, I'm sorry, Pill. I know I said what happened to Jeb wouldn't happen to you, but it seems like we're in a bit of a pickle. But at least we discovered the upper limit of the pressurized cockpit. Good to know. For science. On to the spaceflight. I know we can time warp, but damn it, I'm a man of principle. And a man of killing Kerbals. So, the problem we had was that we traveled up too quickly. We reached 1k already, and that just burned up these parachutes. So, let's try this again and not burn our engines at such a high rate. Bob, I promise you that the fate that was suffered by Jeb and Bill will not be suffered by you. Honestly. See, he looks a little bit more, well, yeah, okay, he's freaking out. He's freaking out. Don't worry, Bob. I won't let you EVA. I will keep you relatively safe until you die of unexpected causes. I think I will build a rocket that just has this as a bottom part and then just the rest of the rocket on top, because this is flying up like nobody's business. Let's turn these down. We're flying low. Oh, flying too low. Sorry about that. There we go. We are flying low. Expose the goo. There you go. Thank you very much. Now we are still picking up speed, so let us just lower this gently. There we go, we are still flying low. Slow this down. Flying low, 25, 26, 27, we are still flying low. 28, come on, where's flying high? 30, flying high. Crew report, 15 more science from the upper atmosphere. Let's keep that beauty. And let's expose the goo to flying high for 25 additional science. Yes, let's keep all that data. So the large challenge now is it shouldn't burn up on re-entry because it just hasn't reached that magical 1k limit. I'm thinking next time I should have a look at this just to see how far up we're going to get, since I could have easily shaved off 8k of vertical distance here. But okay, we are descending gently, pretty much straight down on the Kerbal Center, but a little bit off to the side, because of course Kerbals are too clever to have what is basically a tactical missile revert and fall down on their own actual building. Okay, since we're going to flip over, I am going to expend some of this power. Oh dear Lord, we are so going to die. Not you, Bob, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Probably. Hopefully. Maybe. At least it's a very beautiful picture as it tumbles out of control. It's actually kind of odd that it's still tumbling when we're hitting the atmosphere like this. Oh, there we go. We're meeting that initial resistance as we are picking up lethal speed. You know what? I'm going to deploy the parachutes in the vain hope that they'll somehow slow this down. But at the very least... Oh... They'll reorientate the craft so I can fire the rockets just that little bit. Just that little bit to help out in slowing us down. Bit by bit. Okay, come on. Come on, retrograde vector. There we go, perfect. Come on, retrograde vector. You can do it. You can do it. Flip around. Let's get a little bit more control in there. There we go. That was the engines that we have. I am intensely worried whether any of these things will actually survive the landing, because we're still going in at quite a high pace, and I'm suddenly really concerned that these parachutes will actually just rip these side engines straight off, or that somehow our goo canisters will explode from the sheer impact force. Since in... Oh my god! Oh my god, we made it! We made it! I told you, Bob, that you were going to stay alive. I told you. And only 15k from the space center. This is beautiful. And still nearly all of our electric charge is still here. Amazing. We are going to have a gentle touchdown. Gentle, I said. We have had a gentle touchdown of this... Wait a minute, this Imperial cruiser? I made an Imperial cruiser? Well, that's not something I thought of, but there we go. Recover the vessel and show me the science. 65 beautiful science. Glorious, glorious science. There we go. 15 for the crew report, 25 for the upper atmospheric goo, 25 for the flying and curbing goo, and a recovery of a flight. Well, that's 0.1. Well, never look a gift horse in the mouth. And Bob, you are still alive. Look at him. He's as surprised as I am. 90 beautiful science. Now we can get flight control and the advanced rocketry. Or we could go for space exploration. Straight up head him into space. Ooh. No. I should go the safe path and go flight control. Not only will this allow me to have an upper stage that hopefully I should be able to control in space and get down a little bit more safely, as well as just control it. Let's be sensible and quiet. There we go. Now we have no more science, so let's see where our future is going to be. Immediately we get jumbo tanks and a lot of adapters, so that we can use one jumbo tank and multiple engines attached to it. One of the small tanks, which is good for a lander. This is good for larger lander, this is good for a smaller lander, but in any case, small tanks for landers. So this is clearly the let's get into space, let's get there high. Now, heavy rocketry gives us a pretty good engine with a failure ratio below 50%. Fancy. And the bigger solid fuel booster. Good. This one we knew allows us docking and adapters, which is going to be very relevant when we attach these things. So that adapters are good. There's aerodynamics, which will give us the heat shield. We desperately need this one. And a larger parachute, which is interesting, but I think the Dractical would be better to slow us down, give us an aero brake. Now advanced flight control gives us, probe core, this is going to be useful, as well as inline reaction wheels, perfect, and an RCS tank, nice. And electrics, giving us small comms and inline stabilizers. So many good choices. But we're going to call it quits here now that we have our new science, so that we can think of how we can develop our new orbiter vehicle. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. If you like what you're seeing, please do like, favorite, and subscribe. Please leave comments in the comment section so that you can give me hints, you can whine at me, whatever. But let's get this conversation started, and I hope to see you next time.